this presentation is public. My hope is that you will all use it to bring this message to your policymakers, because as you have seen, it's all about policy, and there are so many departments involved that we really need to put some pressure on to get this message going. Now, it all started during this roundtable meeting at the European Parliament, where I was able to bring this presentation and explain to politicians what our reality was. And it was pretty impressive to see how they just had no clue what our job meant and what we were doing. Just alone the gear that we've put in the middle of the whole meeting was for them some surprise. They couldn't imagine that we had so much gear. Now, I'm just a Brussels firefighter, and I'm a really happy Brussels firefighter. I love my job. I like doing it. I consider my colleagues as a second family. They're my best friends. I don't have the feeling I go to my job. I have the feeling I go to my second house. But first of all, and most important, is my family, my kids and my wife, and they accept that I'm a firefighter, and they accept that I take risks, because we know that our interventions and the places we go to, the situation is unpredictable. And being unpredictable means that it can be dangerous. And my family accept this unpredictability, and they accept that they, at some day I might get injured. Now, when I got the invitation for this meeting, I got to meet these three scientists. They're independently working, and they told me that we have a predictable danger, being cancer. They can prove scientifically, number-wise, that we have a double to triple chance of cancer doing our job. And that's not cancer when we are 60. We're talking about getting cancer when you're 30 or in your 40s. It's a real risk, and this is predictable. I cannot go back to my family telling them, hey, I have a predictable risk about getting cancer, but we're not doing anything about it. That is unacceptable. If we have a known danger, if we know that something is a problem and we can predict it, we should take action to do something about it, and they should help us to do so. So in that spirit, that's why we are sharing this presentation, to get this message going and to hope that more and more people will know about this. Now, what's the image you have of a firefighter? And all of you, if I ask this question, will have a different image. But if you ask the grand public, if you would ask your policymakers, this is what they'll think about. They will go back to the Backdraft movie. They think that we're running through the fire, doing our job, saving people and children, holding an axe, and we'll be fine. But we all know this is not reality. This is not how the job is. On the left side, you see a fire in Brussels a couple of years ago in the Rue Neuve, which is the main shopping street. That fire got in the news, and it was big news. Everybody knew about it. Everybody saw the images. And again, it's a lot of flames. It's a lot of fire. Everybody was like, oh my God, firefighters doing a dangerous job. Now, if you look closely at the picture, see if I can zoom in. In the bottom, you see this guy standing there. He's not even wearing a CBA. He's not wearing protective gear. I don't really mind him standing there. I'm quite okay with that. He's in the open air. The smoke is being blown away from him. That's not such a big deal. If you look to the other picture, the right picture, that's the fires we go to very often. And those are the ones that are not getting into the news. Those are the ones where policymakers and the people in town, they don't know about. But inside that building, that is a real danger. That's where we dive into smoke. That's where we have to go in to find victims, get them out. And that's where we are getting exposed to those toxic fumes that actually become our problem. It's about this story that we need to get people to be aware of. That's what we want to try to do. Now, you all are going to notice these are two videos to show the big public what firefighting is about. This is me and a Dutch colleague, Hans Nieling, during a training. And we'll do a door entry. This is a large volume cell. So there's quite a big volume. The burn load is very, very limited. And still, we get a very big smoke load. Right? No visibility inside. It's fully loaded. And if people see us going in and they've never thought about firefighting, they only saw the movie Backdraft, this is an eye-opener. Because you'll see Hans going in. I have a thermic camera looking at the interior. They see Hans going in. I'm the second one. And within a meter, he just disappears in the smoke. He's gone. I go in secondly. And very, very soon, I'll disappear too in the smoke. As you all know, because most of you are firefighters, you know what this is about. The guy outside is actually going to try to follow me, but he's going to realize very quickly that, there's nothing to film anymore. There's too much smoke. And then he's going to close the door to keep the ventilation profile a little bit under control. Now, the next video is the same door entry. It's the same door entry, but from the inside with a thermic image camera. So you'll see Hans, first guy coming in, and he's doing cooling smoke. He's doing everything he needs to do to go in, and I'm coming in secondly. Now the way he moves really shows people who know nothing about firefighting how difficult it is to work inside a building that's on fire. It gives a very good idea of our reality. And a little bit further, so just so you know how limited the visibility is, at the bottom left of the video, you'll notice a victim. It's right in front of Hans. There you saw the feet. Down to the left, you're seeing the feet now. There's a victim. Hans is sitting less than 50 centimeters away. He hasn't seen the victim yet. I'm coming behind him. And now he's going to discover that person. It's a mannequin, not a real person, of course. But this is where we start the rescue. This video shows very well to people that have never heard anything about interior firefighting how difficult it is to work in smoke and how dense the smoke actually is. We have to work with our hands. We have no visibility. Now, if you saw that smoke, many people think, oh my God, that must be a big fire. That must be really important. Well, the left picture, that's the structure we're working in. It's a large volume cell. It's basically 8 sea containers put together, and the inside walls are cut away for a good part of it. So that's what we're working. That's quite a big volume. It's around 600 cubic meters, which is equal to a big house. Now the fuel load in there, the part that's burning, that's on the left side. It's only some boards of fiber wood. It's really nothing. If you calculate the volume, it's 0.3 cubic meter. That is less than most sofas inside a house. That's the only thing that's burning inside that large volume cell. And even that little fuel load gives that amount of smoke. So this was just training. In reality, it's of course a lot more difficult. So it's not a big fire. It's actually a small fire, and it's already a struggle. So we have to reset the image. It's not the backdraft image. If you talk about urban firefighting, it is smoke diving. We literally dive into smoke. And you can actually make a parallel with diving in water. If somebody dives into water and his diving equipment is not working properly, it's not protecting him, he or she will die. You cannot survive in water without proper diving equipment. It is the same in fire. If you don't get the right gear, if you don't have the proper equipment, a fire or attacking an interior fire will be deadly. You cannot survive inside a smoke-loaded building without the good equipment. So let's forget about the backdraft image. We need policymakers and organizations to get conscious about the concept of smoke diving. It's the smoke that is our real enemy. And I dare to say that as a firefighter, we actually have the most difficult job in the world, or at least one of the most difficult jobs in the world. Currently, these days, we are doing computer simulations of fires. We are studying fire behavior, and we have computers calculating what will happen to that fire. How is it going to grow? What behavior can we expect? What is going to happen? Now, if you want to calculate the first 15 minutes of just a simple house on fire, and the fire just begins in one room, it will spread to a second room and a third room. That calculation of the first 15 minutes of a fire takes a computer days and weeks. We as a firefighter, we get at a door, we open the door, we look at the building, and we have to make the same judgment we have to make the same calculations as that computer in seconds. We have to judge what is the fire going to do, what's the behavior we expect, and how are we going to act, and how can we stay safe. So that is why I dare to say that we have a very, very challenging job and a very difficult job. So how can you prepare for that job? It is train hard. Train as you fight, and then you'll fight easy. What are we training on? Well, we're training on fire attack. As soon as possible, get onto that fire inside the building, go interior, go into the smoke, find the fire, put it out. The sooner you put out the fire, the sooner the danger is gone. In my department and in the world, we often say, put the wet stuff on the yellow stuff, putting it simply. The other thing we need to train on at the same time is search and rescue. As you saw in the training video, within that smoke-filled environment, you have to go find victims and locate them and get them out. Those are the two things we need to train on as hard as we can, train as you fight, and then fight easy. That also means we need to train in reality-linked situations. Training in fake smoke, training in virtual reality, it's all okay at the beginning, but in the end, you need to train as you really will go to the job. You cannot learn to ride on a bike if you don't get on a bike. So how can we do this kind of training and our job and still stay healthy? That's our problem, and that's our big challenge. Well, the left picture is the Amsterdam Fire Department from Holland. And they came up with some simple solutions. They started rinsing down their colleagues after they've done the fire attack to get all the dust particles and smoke particles away. It helps, but it's not the definitive solution. On the right side, you see my colleague and good friend Hans Sneeling again. And he's actually wearing a dust mask and latex gloves. Those two things are really important. If you take off your SCBA, your breathing apparatus, you take off your mask, but you still have your dirty suit on, put on a dust mask. Because when you move around in that suit, toxic and cancer-causing dust is going to fly around you and you'll breathe it in. It's the same with your hands. Under your fire gloves, put on latex gloves. They will not melt, okay? They only start to react to heat at a 50 or 60 degrees Celsius temperature. Your hands are getting burned at 40 degrees Celsius. So the latex gloves, they will not melt, but they will keep that dirty stuff away from your hands. So if you, for example, after the fire, you have to go to the toilet, at least you'll have clean hands to do so. The dirt of the fire will not get under your nails. Use gloves. These are simple things that you can do. They're very cheap. And there's a lot more you can do. Opening up the trucks, the windows of the fire trucks to get the fumes out. There's a lot to do. But then there's reality again. This is at the Grenfell Tower. I think they had about 200 firefighters involved. How are you going to manage health and hygiene for these guys? How are you going to take all those suits, all that gear, get it clean to be reused again soon enough for the next fire or soon enough for the same incident that's still going on? We can find simple solutions, but in the end, there's only one thing we really need. We need money, we need budget, and we need policy to be convinced that if they want to keep us healthy and if they want to keep performant fire departments, they'll have to make investments into our departments to make sure that with this reality that we can manage it and that we can work in safety and health-wise. So if you go looking for answers in Europe, EASA, EMSA, ERA, and ECHA, they're all European agencies. EASA is aviation safety. ECHA is chemical safety. ERA is railroad safety. Every department or every industry in Europe has a European agency that is actually doing research and producing good policies to work in a safe way. Now, if you're a firefighter and you would ask Europe, hey, what is my way to work safely? What should we do to be healthier? How can we protect our health? There is no European agency for us. So we could actually wonder, why don't we start asking for a European Fire Safety Agency, or at least a good equal organization with funds and budget to do research on our job, on the problems we have, and to find workable, realistic solutions. And And they have to know this, they have to realize this. If you want to start up an agency or if you want to start up an organization to support fire departments in Europe, well, if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. And as European firefighters, we deserve better. We do deserve some investment to be able to do our job and not risk our health. So how can we train to be the best in our job? And that's important, because you don't want to have firefighters showing up at your door and then saying, well, I'm only half as good as I can in my job. I'm not at 100%. If you have firefighters showing up at your door, you want them to be 100%. It's not a job that we can do half or 50%. It's 100. And how can we do that job, save families, and you if needed, without risking our health? At the moment, we are still every day risking our health. Well, we'll risk our lives saving anyone, but how can policymakers please keep us healthy doing this? It's a question we all need to start asking policymakers. So find help and ask for help to get the best practice of fighting interior fires and respecting health and hygiene rules. Get 100% safe and effective cleaning procedures for our gear. Get the required amount of gear and logistics to do so, including the budget. Because you have to know that while somebody's cleaning your gear, if you're in a busy department, you'll need a second set of gear to go to the fire that's going to come in. When your gear is being cleaned, you cannot go to the other fire. And the clock is ticking. As I said in the beginning of the presentation, these 3 people, they came out with shocking results. And it's not just on 100 firefighters. We're talking about investigations done on over 20,000 firefighters in total, all over Europe. And it's pretty obvious, at a younger age, we have a double and triple chance of getting cancer. So we need to do something about it.